So, so this is my first time going live. You know what? Going live. I thought I would be able to share my screen. How we have a question already from Samuel. How much do you need to invest on average to become a millionaire next bull run? That's a really good question, Samuel. To answer your question, to answer your question, it depends on a few factors, right? Um, it depends on how much your returns are going to be, and that also has to do with what is your risk tolerance, right? Because if you go into the top 100 coins, a lot of these coins, I would say like the top 20, if you go in the top 20, most of these coins are going to return anywhere from like an 8 to a 10x, maybe 8 to 12x, somewhere around there. So these coins are the lowest risk in crypto, because you're the biggest, they have the biggest market cap, right? So if we're looking at like a 10x on average for the top 20 coins, you would need $10,000, right? Because 10 times 10, well, you bring the zero over. You need 10,000 to get to a million. Um, okay, I said it wrong. I meant 100,000. You would need 100,000 to get to a million if we're looking at the top 10 coins, right? So coins like Cardano, Solana, AVAX, the big coins that everyone knows about, those will produce somewhere roughly on average around a 10x, right? So it will take 100K to reach a million, right? Now, my channel in particular, I specialize in coins that are a low cap, right? So these are not even micro cap, actually, not even low cap. I'm micro cap coins because I'm looking at coins with a market cap below 10 million. So the coins that I am filtering out have the potential of doing hundreds of X's, like anywhere from, I would say anywhere from 50 to 400X, right? So I cannot be specific on the return that my coins will do because I have so many, right? I have over 20 coins that I'm actively monitoring. And these cryptos have the potential of doing anywhere from a 50 to a 400x, right? And out of the coins that I'm monitoring, some of them will also go to zero. So I deal with high risk, high reward degen plays. And it's my idea that I would rather, I'm trying to become, I'm trying to change my life this bull run. So I'm not invested into primarily into Bitcoin or Ethereum. That all being said, they have their place because, Ethereum is pretty much guaranteed a 4x from here, right? So that's four times your money with low risk. There still is risk involved because it's crypto, but low risk in relation to crypto. I also have to premise everything I'm saying to qualify what I'm saying to let you know that I'm not a financial advisor and this is not financial advice. This is mainly my opinion on the market. So this is not sound, safe financial advice. This is trying to change my life, doing high risk, high reward plays. So if what I'm doing works at the end of this bull run, and I'm able to take out capital at the right amount of time, then my life should completely change, and the life of those who do something similar. But that all being said, I do have to let you know to manage your risk because I have to stress it over and over again because this is crypto, and not only is this crypto, I'm in the deep pool, right? I'm in deep waters, right? So because I'm trying to get 100x's, that's what I'm trying to do, right? So let's say with the plays I'm picking, less relatively conservative. Let's say at 50x on average, right? Because your question was how much would have to be invested to be a millionaire, and I gave you the safer play. You see, I'm pulling up things on my computer and it's not showing up in the live, like a calculator and certain things. But I don't think it's showing up in the video. But let me do the calculation here, right? So if it were to 50x, right? $1 million divided by 50, that would be 20K. So that's 20K with with I would say medium risk, uh, low cap cryptos. So the gems that I'm picking up are low caps, but they're better than most low caps because the teams are stronger, or they were launched by reputable backers. You know, Coinbase Ventures and Alameda Brands. They have good backers, or they have a good history or a really good product, right? So the ones I'm mentioning are a little bit better, a little bit better than average, right? So I'm saying on average, if 50x 20K could turn into $1 million, right? So if they return a 50x, it would be 20K. If they return 100x, if they return 100x, it would be 10K. So it's possible to get to $1 million from 10K. It's not guaranteed, but it's possible, right? So there's another question. Yeah, you're welcome for the answer. Anytime. Yeah, 40 coins, diversified for the 50 projects. You know, there is a lot of different ways to look at it, right? Because I've had also other people tell me that I've heard other people say that they don't want to manage that many projects. But for me, I actually want that many projects because I'm not investing a crazy amount in each project, and I'm catching them like IDOs and pre-sales and these kind of things. So I'd rather um, diversify, and instead of putting like 10K into ADA into Cardano, I would rather have 50 of these pre-sales or low caps, because my understanding is that I'm taking a risk anyway in crypto. There is nothing in crypto that is 100% safe. Even when you're dealing with the large caps, there's a high amount of risk with them too, because we've seen Terra Luna go bust, and that was a large cap, and we've also seen Gala Games go through litigation, and that's also a large cap. So you're kind of damned if you do, damned if you don't. Crypto in general is just a risky playing field with a lot of landmines. So absolutely. I think it's for me. I can't tell individuals what to do. Right. Individuals have to decide what's right for them and what they want to do. Because again, I reiterate, I'm doing high risk plays. So the high risk plays that I'm doing might not be right for everyone. There's a lot of people who would rather just have Bitcoin, Ethereum, AVAX. AVAX is pumping, by the way. So if I was looking at a large cap, I would look at AVAX and I would look at Solana and also look at Ethereum, because the Ethereum ETFs are about to launch. And once the Ethereum's ETFs launches, it's going to start outperforming Bitcoin. So I'm thinking Ethereum's going to start outperforming Bitcoin probably by April. So if I was looking like large cap plays, Fidelity, retirement, I would look at the Ethereum ETFs or Ethereum before the ETFs come out. And I would also get into the top 15. I mentioned AVAX and Solana because it's a possibility that these ETFs that they get ETFs in 2024, and then you would be in before those ETFs are even mentioned or come out. So you'd be buying low. So those are safer plays that could have very nice multiples. I mentioned a 10x. It's quite possible you could get anywhere from 10, depending on the ETFs launching, right? Anywhere from 10 to 15, maybe even a 20x on certain of these large cap alts. right? So would I say 1 million would be enough to retire comfortably here in the United States? That's a really good question. That takes in a number of factors, right? Because you have to look at your age, you have to look at your lifestyle, right? How much are you spending now per year, right? So if you're spending, if you're spending a certain amount per year, what you want to do is you want to look at how much you're spending now per year, and then you want to look at your how many years you have left to live, right? So I'm going to have to make up hypothetical numbers to explain my example. Uh, let's say an individual is, I'm going to pick average, right? Averages, right? So let's say someone is 35 years old, right? And they need they need 45K a year to live. They want to live modestly. It's 45K a year. Then your whatever money you have in your nest egg will have to, and you're 35. Let's say lifespan is, I am just going to give, I'm gonna say, let's say you have 50 years left to live, right? So 50 years, 45K a year, right? So if you multiply 50 times 40, the calculator is not coming up here, but I'll tell you, I'll give you the data, right? So 50 times, what did I say, 50 years to live times 45K, with that already is 2,250,000. That's already 2,250,000. And then you also have to add to the 2,250,000, you have to add inflation, right? So with inflation, you might as well multiply that by three. So the numbers are coming up. I mean, these numbers are discouraging. So no, 1 million is not enough for the average person to retire, right? For if you expect that to be your sole income, your sole source of income for the rest of your life. Now, there's also Social Security, which I didn't take into this equation, but I'm I'm looking at the data being given as in someone saying that they're going to keep their lifestyle similar to how it is now. Meaning, if you're not cutting back on expenses in the sense that, I know you won't be driving to work every day, you won't be commuting, but with this free time you now have, instead of spending 8 hours on average, instead of plus 2 hours commute, that's 10 hours. Spending 10 hours of your time either going to work or being at work. Now you have 10 hours of free time. With that free time of 10 hours that you have, no, you will not be spending on eating lunch at work or commuting to work. But guess what? With that 10 hours, you're going to want to go on vacation. You're going to want to go to the gym, or the mall, or you want to go hiking, you want to do certain things. So yes, your daily expenses change. You're no longer doing that, but it's going to be filled with other expenses. So you're going to be spending the same anyway. You're going to want to keep your lifestyle the same. It's not like you're going to retire and then I'm just going to stay home and I'll never leave the house. I'll never go out and I'm just going to eat ramen noodles forever. No, no one's going to do that. When someone wants to retire early, they're going to want to continue to have their nice lifestyle. It's only now, instead of going to work, they can do what they want to do. So your expenses are still going to remain at a certain level. So that's why I put the 45K in there, and it could be more, it could be less. I'm just putting in there as a reference, a frame of reference, right? So $1 million is a lot of money. But even with $1 million, the spending amount, or the power of $1 million, the spending capacity of $1 million has changed because of inflation, because the government's doubled their money supply within a period of about 4 years. So everything is more expensive, right? To buy a home now in the United States, to buy a home here is on average almost 500K, 475K. It's almost 500K. That's a lot of money, right? So it forces individuals to continue to work forever until till they pass away. Now, everything I'm saying is like, so you're saying you can't retire then? And then how come there's so many people retired? There are a lot of people who are already retired, right? There's a lot of folks that are retired. But their retirement is something that if you see the older generation, a lot of them that are retired because they can no longer work. They're no longer physically able to work. They fall asleep on the job, or they have health problems, bad colon or liver or cancer or some other illness, so they can't walk. So the old folks right now that are not working, most of them are not working because they can't work. The ones that can work are still working because they want to maintain a certain lifestyle, right? Because they grew up in a period where you had the three-legged stool, that you had pensions from the job, um, you had 401k, and you had Social Security. All of these things, it's the pension, people no longer have pensions, right? So that's why the situation is how it is. But let me check your next comment here. Um, the low cap gem videos. Thanks, Samuel. Would you recommend that I park my crypto profits in a high yield savings account or into real estate? Um, what I would say on a question like that is, before I answer the question, I will also premise it on the fact that what I'm saying is advice that I would give myself. I'm not a financial advisor, so anything that I communicate here over the internet, over YouTube, is information that I would tell myself, is advice I would give myself. So I will only say what I'm willing to do in a situation like that. So I'm going to create a hypothetical situation for myself, because I'm not able to give financial advice because of the laws that we have here in the States, is that only financial advisors could give that kind of advice. So that all being said, what I would say to myself during this bull run, what I would do personally is I would take profits at the height of the market. Um, First of all, when is the height of the market, right? Because we're all expecting it to be Q4 2025, as most cycles are. If we get a double top in, like April, and then it comes down again, drops 50%, because that's what happened in 2021. We had a double top. So if we were to have a double top again, where Bitcoin hits some astronomical amount in Q2 of 2025, that might be a good time to take some profit. Maybe I wouldn't take all of the profit, but maybe I'll take some. Maybe I'll take 25% off the table. And then we crash again, like 50%, and then maybe I end up putting some money back in, because I'm expecting Q4 2025 to be the real top, right? And then I start as soon as we start going up, seriously going up, I start taking money off the table, with the idea of having most of my profits off the table by November 2025, right? Even if I don't get the exact timing right, I will still be in profits, right? So I might not, that might be the difference between me having, 120x versus an 80x or something like that, right? So I don't time the exact, there's no way to know what the exact top is, right? So your real question, to get to your question is, what would I do with the money? I would think real estate, right? But before I get into real estate, we're in an 18-year real estate cycle, right? So I wouldn't buy real estate right away, because I believe real estate is going to crash. So what I would do is I will actually cash out into my currency, my fiat currency, right? So that could be USD. So I would cash out into USD, then I'll wait for the real estate crash in 2026, because there is a projected crash that's coming in 2026, a crash of basically everything, right? Real estate is my biggest option. It's the one that I'm looking into. So yes, absolutely, I will diversify into real estate, and more particular, what I'll be looking for is rental property, but rental property with multi-family units, with a management firm, so a firm that manages a portfolio, and I would try to get these units in the crash. So I would hoard cash. I would stay in cash wait for a crash, and then pivot into hard assets, into real estate, and into a real estate that cash flows. So real estate that at the bare minimum it would have to pay for itself, meaning that the rents coming in pays for the mortgage. So I would buy during a crash, and I would wait for a crash, right? So when a crash happens and then I buy the rental units are going to pay. If I take mortgages out on these properties, the rental units are going to pay my monthly mortgage payments. So I would get multiple properties. And at some point in the future, these things will all be positive cash flow, meaning I will never have to work again. So no, I wouldn't retire with my crypto profits in crypto because it won't be enough money. But if I use this to pivot into becoming a real estate owner, landlord owner with multiple properties, and that are cash flowing positively, that positive cash flow will be enough to take me into retirement and pay for my daily expenses within retirement. So absolutely, I would pivot into real estate, but rent multi-family units, rental property, management firm that owns all of these things, bought during the crash. Therefore, my mortgage is low, but my rental income is higher than my mortgage. So I'm positive cash flow, and that will allow me to retire. Going back to your statements and your questions here, um, Samuel writes, I'm looking to hopefully buy a home after the next bull run. When that time comes, would it make sense to get a mortgage with 20% down or to pay it off in full? Man, that's a good question. Um, Look, if it's a personal, if I plan to live somewhere for 5 years or more, I want to be an owner. I know that there are many other many other understandings, interpretations, and opinions on this, but my opinion is this: life is risky. It's very, very risky. Nothing is promised. If you look at what we're doing here, let's think we're buying digital coins on the internet that somebody invented. We're hoping to pay half a penny for it to later sell it to other people for $5.20 within a year and a half. This is completely ridiculous. It's absurd. It's ridiculous, right? But if you look at our fiat system, the way how it's set up, you work for 40 years busting your butt so you can scrounge and save a little bit of money so they could print it. What you work for 40 years, they could print it in 5 minutes and give it to their friends, right? So everything is crazy and it's ridiculous. So going back to your question, I want the safety that at the very least, I don't have to worry about the place where I live. I don't have to worry about getting evicted. I don't have to worry about, some crazy thing. Inflation goes up, or the currency crashes, or we go to war, and it's hard to get supplies, and there's a complete emergency now. And so now I have to worry about a place to live to. The last thing I want to do is ever worry about a place to live, because if I have to worry about a place to live, I can't make YouTube videos anymore, right? I can't take care of my children the way I want to, right? I can't do anything because now I'm in survival mode. I can't do higher level thinking because first I have to survive. I have to get food in my stomach. I have to keep a roof over my head so I don't, get a cold or pneumonia or something. I can't go to work with pneumonia so to answer your question, I would pay off my home. I'm not going to take the chance of something. What if I get cancer, right? I'm like, everything's going great. I'll just continue to pivot and invest in these kind of things. I have a certain amount of income coming in, and then an emergency happens, or you had your money in Terra Luna, right? You had $2 million in Terra Luna, and you're earning 8% a year, and this was enough for you to cover your yearly expenses. You had nothing to worry about for the rest of your life. You had it all figured out, but somehow someone stole your money, right? This is what happened to people. This actually happened to people, right? You had your money in FTX, or Binance, or one. And Binance, by the way, didn't go under, right? But the SEC tried to take them down. But you had your money in one of these exchanges that it's the biggest exchange. The congressmen are meeting with the people who own the exchange. Gary Gensler met with Sam Bankman-Fried. They had lunch together. There's no way that anything could happen to this. This is safe. They told me my money was safe. I have 3 million in an account here, 2 million over there, so I'm safe. So I don't need to pay my mortgage, because I don't need to pay the home off, because I have 3 million over here, and all of these. And what happens? They steal your money. However they want to explain it. We were over leveraged. The algorithm didn't work for Terra Luna. However they want to explain it, they stole your money, right? Because I know that they could end up stealing my money. People had money in banks too, right? They have money in banks, and we've seen banks go bust. So these banks are United States banks, right? These are not, like, the citizens don't own this. This is, federally backed, state backed. And I know that you're backed in a bank up to 250K. You're federally insured in the United States banking system for up to $250,000. You're insured. So if something were to happen, and these and the bank cannot pay back all the debt that they owe, the federal government will step in, and you'll be relieved up to 250K. You're covered. But it's because this happened to Silicon Valley Bank, right? But my question is, what happened to the poor guys or the poor people that trusted this bank? It's been a family bank for decades, and they had 350K in there. They had 500K, and they use this bank for payroll. And they're like, well, this has never happened before. I could trust a bank because it's a bank, right? If they had more than 250K in one of these banks, and the bank goes under, you could literally lose your money in a bank, right? So this is the reason why I say that my home, I want to own my home outright. So if I get the opportunity to own the home cash, I will take that opportunity. And then I will use my knowledge, the knowledge I have about the 4-year cycle, to make more capital, right? So I'm going to give you a good, for instance. We're expecting a bear market in 2026, right? We're expecting everything to go down in 2026, because that's going to be the year after the bull run, right? So maybe I could just take $1,000, right? And I could open a short. I could open a 3x leverage short in February, right? I was going to say January, but yeah, all right, January 2026. Open up a 3x leverage short, and just keep it there, and ride it all the way down to December 2026. At the end of December 2026, I could start buying Bitcoin again, right? So, in other words, security first. I want to be secure that I'm not going to get evicted from my home. So I absolutely pay off the home first. No, it won't be in the bank. It won't be in USDC on MetaMask. It won't even be on Ledger. Like, if we're talking about money where I could become financially free, because to me, this would mean my financial freedom. If I don't have my number two expense is going to be mortgage, or it's going to be rent. That's going to be my second biggest expense. The first biggest expense is taxes, right? Taxes is the biggest expense, right? So that's another thing. How do I lower my taxes? The only way to lower your taxes, or the best way, the smartest way, is to start a business, because then you could claim your daily living expenses as a business expense, which you're going to pay for these things. You have to drive, you have to pay for gas, electricity, heat, rent, and mortgage. You have to pay for this. So if you can find a way to expense these things in your business, that lowers your taxable income, right? So we're going on many topics, and I also want to reiterate that what I'm saying is what I would do. This is not actual financial advice. But let me get back to your question. Hey, what's going on? I'm just better. Thanks. He says, hello, mate. Great work. Thanks for the DGen projects. Absolutely. I mean, this is stuff that I like doing anyway. So I figured I might as well, share it with the world. and it seems to be working out. So that's good. I'm glad you like the channel. Thanks for your support. Absolutely. And Samuel writes, I speak so much about crypto that my wife limits the conversation to 30 minutes a day. I'm so bullish for the next bull run. Do you analyze crypto with a trade analysis? Um, what I would say about trade analysis, I try to trade a little bit, but I do that on the side with with disposable funds because I'm expecting trading. Trading is very difficult, right? And I could be up here. Here's the thing with trading, right? With trading, I could be up on 4 trades, and I'll be like, okay, this is working out well. This is going in the right direction, and then that 5th trade completely wrecks me, right? So that's the reason why I'm not a big proponent of trading. I will say this: if you have a system and the system is working for you, I would stick with the system, right? I would stick with whatever works for me. So what works for me best is investments, like just buying solid projects that are undervalued that I feel that people are going to value later, getting in early and just holding them and just waiting for them to go 50x. And when they start going 50x, I start leveraging out of it. And then I put that into another project that, pre-sale or IDO or something that is not really known about yet or no one's paying attention to. And if I get a 10x in one of them, right, and I take profit out of my 10x and I put it into another project and the second project goes 10x, I get 100x, right? So 10 times 10, that turns into 100x. So I'd rather do that than trading because and don't get me wrong, I trade every day. Analysis tool, I dabble a little bit, but most of what I'm doing is just I'm looking at the RSI and I'm looking at chart patterns. So a lot of it is manual, but trading is not giving me the results that I'm looking for, right? And it's not doing anything near to just investing. So do I have a set product that I could recommend? Not really, and I'm not really a big proponent of trading. But if you have something that works for you, I would definitely stick with it. Okay, I'm just better writes, I do huge research about DGen projects, and you're one of the best. Wow, thanks. I really appreciate that. You're like a hidden gem for the hidden gems I'm looking for. All right, I mean that's definitely good news, and I do also read the comments, right? So if someone were to put down a comment on projects that they're looking into, I'll definitely take a look at those projects and give you some feedback on that. Because like if I spend a few hours a day researching projects or digging into the archives or something pops up in Telegram or Twitter and I check it out, then I could bring that to the group's attention. But the more eyes that we have looking, the better, because I've also seen too that in different groups that it could be someone that doesn't normally contribute, but they mention something and then people look into it and they're like, oh yeah, this is really a good gem. But what I'm doing, right, is I'm trying to get into these things before the masses get into them. And we might be 30% into this bull run, but we're not too late in the sense that we're not late enough to where you can't get any more projects, right? The reason why is because we haven't had that parabolic leg that comes after the halving. So anything before the halving to me is fair game. Now, a lot of coins that have really ran, like Solana went from $8 and it went to 125. Now it pulled back a little bit. But coins like that can end up doing like another 10x or so, possible. But the projects that I'm looking at now haven't been exposed to a bull run, right? So I mentioned like Dex Check, which could do a 50x from here, or Engine Starter, or I mean any of these projects that are on the DGen list. So I'd rather make a 50x than a 10x. And There's also GTAI, by the way. GTAI just came out, and from the gate that did a 10x from the IDO. It actually did like an 18x, but now it's retracing. I'm keeping my eye on GTAI as far as recommendation in my videos. I will do another video on it, but for those who are in DexCheck, DexCheck actually allowed access to GTAI at 15 cents. So the vesting is very long, it's a year and a half, but buying something for 15 cents in an IDO that when it launches at an 18x. I mean, to get a return like that, you're not going to get a return like that buying Solana, right? Yeah, because now it did an 18x, and again it retraced it. It's like a 10x. It's more than 10x now. It's probably like a 12x right now. But you could imagine, right? This is before the halving. So if it already did, if it's currently sitting at a 12x, and then the halving comes, and I also understand that there's token dilution, right? Because there's only with GTAI, there's only like 2% in circulation. So you have massive dilution, over 90% dilution in the future. But that all being said, most of the money is not here yet. The majority of the money is not here yet. We currently have Bitcoin ETFs, which are completely pumping the market, right? So you could imagine once that we get into the full swing of the bull market, and we're looking at June, July of this year, which is only a few months from now, right? So it's really time to pack the bags. So something does a 12x, and then we get that kind of money coming in. That is 100x gem right there. That it could 100x this year. You don't have to wait until next year. And then what happens is that, yes, I said you have to wait a year and a half for your to receive all of your tokens, right? But you could imagine that during the bull run, you're getting payments from a small investment that you made from DexCheck, and you can use these payments to fund other pre-sales, right? You could use that to fund other pre-sales and other IDOs. So which will serve as a second source of income, because I think a lot of us have the problem. I have the problem that we see the opportunity in front of us. We see so many great projects. You could literally pick almost any launch pad and just start investing in IDOs blindly, and you're going to do phenomenally well, right? So we see the potential in front of us. We know this is going to at least, you're looking at Cardano, right? Cardano is at least going to 7x from here, maybe 10 to 15x, God knows. AVAX is going to, everything is going to go up. We see all of this is going to go up. And we're like, we just need more income so that we could put it into these things, because their money is going to 5x, 10x, 50x, and depending on the projects that we pick, 100x, right? So it's going to be good to be getting these allocations from these pre-sales, because once that money 50x's and you're getting paid that every month, you could take that 50x allocation money, and then you can use that to put into other pre-sales, right? Or you could use it to put it into launch pads or any other opportunity that you find, the BRC20s or that new ERC standard, ERC 404. So any opportunities that come up, right? So you can use that as a second source of income. So I'm extremely big on DexCheck. I know that the price is fluctuating and it seems to be going up, but I would definitely try to get into the Oracle tier in DexCheck, because once you do, you're able to get into pre-sales and you're going to get a bigger allocation than you would get on the launch pads. Let me get back to the questions or the comments. Okay, the next one, Samuel writes, do you think that altcoins won't really move significantly until 2029, until 2029 bull run, since there would be more expected altcoin ETFs submitted by then? No, I don't have a reason to believe that altcoins are going to get skipped this bull run. What we're looking at right now is how the cycle works. Usually, Bitcoin moons first, and then after that, Ethereum moons, and then it trickles into the top 10 coins: ADA, Solana, AVAX, BNB, and then after that, the money drop goes into the mid cap coins, and then after that, it goes into our degen coins. This cycle has been unique. This past year has been unique in that a lot of the micro caps have already been running. Viot was an AI coin, and Viot did a 50x in a year from the bear market in 2022. It did a 50x. Demetra, DMTR, that did a 45x. And just recently, there are many coins that did a 10x, many micro caps, many small caps. So what I will say is that we're at the point in the cycle now that you load up on altcoins, right? Because this is the calm before the storm. What is about to happen is the altcoins are going to go ballistic. When I say ballistic, the returns that are going to come are returns that don't seem to make sense. It's going to be completely ridiculous, right? Because you're gonna see coins go 10x within a short, like within a month. I'm not sure with which month. I'm not saying they're going to go 10x in February. That's not what I mean. But last cycle, 2 months after the halving, they went completely ballistic, completely ballistic. Like by I'm expecting by June, July, certain coins, projects that you see now that are small, that could be going 20x, right? By June, July, from now to June, July. So I would make sure that I have all coins now, especially the kind of coins that I'm mentioning, because those kind of coins, not only are they going to do really well like the rest of the market, a lot of these coins are going to outperform the market. They're going to go completely ballistic. And I would definitely not miss out on that. Like Ethereum and these things, they're going to give you your 4x, your 3x, and but if we're talking about life-changing games, because your life-changing games, your initial question was, Samuel, your initial question was, can you retire? How much will it take to retire with crypto? These are the kind of projects that I mentioned, having huge bags of them, diversifying, managing your risk also. And it's a contradiction also, because I'm saying that you don't want to put too much into any coin because they're very risky. But at the same standpoint, I'm also saying that you need to have a substantial amount of money in them, because the more you put in, the more you could make, right? But I think with $10,000, and it's not even that much. $10,000 is a lot of money. It is. But if you're considering like retirement kind of money, or life change, I guess a better term is life changing money. I think that $10,000 in most situations, 10 grand cannot change anybody's life. It can't, because 10 grand is one emergency. That's a trip to the hospital. You fall down the stairs and they need to take you to the hospital. That's 10 grand right there, right? But crypto, we're at a very unique point in time and opportunity where this industry is not fully regulated yet. And because of that, you're able to get in on the ground floor. You're able to get in with what I would call as an accredited investor, right? This is why people don't become rich in most places in the Western world, because you have to be accredited, right? Normal investors, 99% of the people can only buy Apple stock after Apple stock is $300 or some ridiculous, or Tesla. You have to buy it when it's $500. Then you could buy it. And then if you make 20% on it, you celebrate. You're like, oh my God, 20%, right? So that's why people will never be rich. Accredited investors can buy an Apple stock or a Tesla when they can buy it for a penny. And then later on, they sell it to you for $500. So that's why people can't be rich. They can't be rich because they're not able to invest at the seed sale price, at the private sale price. That's why they can't become rich. Crypto, since it's unregulated, you're allowed to invest at the private sale price or the seed sale price. Now, private sales and seed sales and things of this nature are a lot more risky, and they can go to zero. Like, for every Tesla out there, there's all these other companies that went to zero. But my counter argument to that is, for every successful company, there's 100 companies that fail. 90% of businesses fail anyway. So you might as well choose the investment that could 100x your money instead of the one that could only 20% your money, right? Risk reward correlation. It takes more risk for a higher reward. I'll rather go with the high risk and take my chances there, because if I get 20% on $10,000, that whatever I make will be gone the next time I go and buy groceries, right? Groceries like $600 now. So it'll be gone anyway. So I'm forced to take risk. I'm forced to do this. I understand what's going on. I see what's going on. I get it, right? Price of real estate is going to go up. Price of college tuition is going to go up. Everything's the price of a dang car. I know people are taking out 5-year or 6-year car loans now. This is insane. Average car loan is like 40 something. That's madness. I thought I was the only crazy person that did that when I was younger. But all right, let me get back to the questions, because I'm going off here. Yeah, so the altcoins, no, they're about to boom. They're going to boom this year, and they're going to boom soon. By summer of this year, they're going to go 10x, 28. The coins I'm looking at, they might even go 20x. Okay, next question from I Am Just Better. What do you believe about alt season? Because this moment, Bitcoin has all the power, and about a bull run before the halving. Oh, thanks for your answer. See you on top. Peace. All right, absolutely. So let me get to your question. Let me go back to it. As far as alt season before the halving, I'm expecting altcoins to moon soon. I am, right? Now, this is what I'm going to say. We hit 49K. We got rejected, and 49K was at the 618, right? Fibonacci retracement 618. We got rejected, which is actually kind of predicted by the 4-year cycle. The rejection was supposed to take us down 40%, right? Because that's what the 4-year cycle, it normally goes 40 or more percent when you get rejected from the 618. We only went down 20%, right? We hit around 38,000. And I remember in one of my videos, I'm like, oh, we're probably going to go down to 37 or 37.5. I said something like that, which again, I think that's remarkable. I think I got lucky, because again, none of it, you have to, trying to predict this, man, like short term is, you can't predict it short term. I'm just gonna leave it at that, right? I got lucky. So the question was, are we going to get an alt season before the halving? Halving is in April. I'm looking at the way the market's moving and the way the chart's moving. I'm expecting altcoins to moon. If we don't get seriously rejected, right now, by serious rejection, I mean like 30s. It's a matter of time before Bitcoin we're approaching the 49K again. We're going back up and we're approaching the 49K. When we break 49K, because it looks like we're going to do it, and we push up through there, I think that's actually that's more bullish than normal. That's actually more bullish than normal. I think we're more bullish because of the ETFs. I think the ETF money coming in right now, Grayscale has sold out most of their GBTC, so they're no longer selling. So that they were selling, and that was keeping the market down. And we had more inflows of the ETFs coming in. Meanwhile, Grayscale was selling. Now Grayscale stopped selling, so it's at equilibrium. Plus, we have the ETF money coming in, which means that there's a huge chance we break 49K. If we break 49K before the halving, the Bitcoin dominance goes up. So Bitcoin leads the show. Bitcoin goes high. I don't know how it's, but if we break 49K, yeah, there's a chance that within a few months we end up hitting 70K. Like that might actually happen. And if that happens, and all of this happens before the halving, the altcoins are going to go completely ballistic. So all of this, all these projections I have could come early. All of this stuff could come early, like before the halving, like before we expect it to come. And if that happens, then the question is, what does it mean for the rest of the bull? For the rest of the bull, what I believe is that we end up going parabolic earlier than we expect. Altcoins go mad, like completely ridiculous, right? Bitcoin goes all the way up, and then it comes down almost like it's a top, like it's going to pop, and it comes down towards the halving. Then the halving comes, and we start gradually going back up anyway. That's what it looks to me now. That's what's going to happen. And there's also a theory that the 4-year cycle gets pushed back or brought forward. Happens quicker, 6 months quicker. That we're on the same trajectory that's 6 months quicker. What I think is going to happen though is I think we end up having a normal 4-year cycle, with the exception that we go parabolic earlier. We go parabolic, we have a slight pullback, and then we go parabolic again, and we just keep on going up. So, because if things continue how I see it now, we're already approaching 49K. We're at 48 something now, right? 48K. If we approach 49, the more you hit a resistance, the weaker the resistance becomes, right? So even if we get a small, watch, if we get rejected now at 49K, look at the pullback. The pullback is not going to go as far back as it did before. That will be a telltale sign, right? Because the first time it hit 39K, we got rejected to 38.5, right? So if we go to 49K again, we get rejected and it doesn't go all the way down to 38.5, that lets you know what's coming. That lets you know that we're getting higher lows, right? And that we're going to bust. And when we bust major, right? So I think we're still early. I also noticed that the amount of attention to Bitcoin is not there. Like the amount of people watching it is not as much as you would expect by this time. So I think they're going to send it. I think they're going to send it early. BlackRock, Fidelity, big banks, big money. They're going to send it. They're accumulating the Bitcoin, and there's a lot of buy pressure. And we're going to get to a point, because they've accumulated so much, that supply and demand, that there won't be much supply left, and we go completely parabolic. So you guys made the right decision by being in crypto when you are, because I do believe, it's my opinion, this is not financial advice, right? I'm not a financial advisor. This is just my opinion. I'm just brainstorming. Because I believe that when, like, by the end of this year, you will not be able to get the positions that you have now. It would be impossible. It's going to be too much to acquire those positions. If things continue the way how they are now, it would be impossible to get those positions later. You have to be like, picture like a $10,000 investment for the crypto you have now. You'd have to pay 100K minimum, 100K in a crash. Like, that's what I mean. I think that's where we're headed. I think short term, we get some parabolic activity. Short term meaning this, 2 months, within 2 months, right? Then you have the halving. So what kind of, they say pull back. So pull back 4 years. Pull back where? Where are we going to pull back to? How are we going to pull back? I'm looking at what the chart's doing. I'm just watching the chart, and a pullback. If we pull back, BlackRock or one of these people that's going to buy it, right? Or a family office, they're just going to buy it. So it's not going to be a pullback. So I don't know how do we drop to where the 4-year cycle says we're supposed to drop, like low 30s, like 32. How do we drop there? Based on what? The kind of news that it will take to drop to 32 would be like another like COVID situation. That's what it would take. And outside from that, I don't see it happening. But let me continue. You're welcome for the answer, by the way. I am just better. You're welcome for the answer. Samuel, what do you recommend for someone to have their crypto bags ready to go before the April BTC halving? I'm waiting to receive my tax refund so I can DCA into more projects. It's funny that you asked that, because I'm going to put myself in your shoes. I'm going to answer it as if this is what I was doing, because I actually am. Um, at this standpoint, the way I look at the market is that I want to put as much as I can into the market, and again, that's because of my risk profile, and this is because of my understanding, right? Because my understanding is this: if for every $1,000 I invest now, I'm going to make a minimum back of $10,000, right? If I throw darts and I don't know what I'm doing, that's what's supposed to happen, right? That's what's supposed to happen if I go and buy like Solana and ADA and AVAX and these kind of things, right? Not BNB. So if I were to do that, that's what I would expect to happen. So that means that when I get money, I'm trying to funnel it into crypto. Do you know that I've tried to, like, not spend as much on groceries, and I'm staying home. I'm not going out. I don't want to go and see the movie. I don't want to go on vacation. Like right now, I'm kind of like, my wife, God bless her, man. I'm like, no, I don't want to go on vacation right now. This year, the bull run. 2025, we're going to go on a lot of vacations. I don't want to do that right now, right? This is I'm like I'm like a turtle in my shell, man. I'm not trying to spend money right now. I'm trying to make money, and I'm trying to take this and funnel it into crypto, and then later I'm going to go and do my spending. So the question is, how much should you invest? I would say for the average person, and I'm going to say for the average person, right? The average 35-year-old, average 35-year-old. I have to use averages, right? Because everybody's situation is different, right? I definitely wouldn't recommend um, the stuff. The stuff I'm doing is marine discipline. like I'm literally taking everything and I'm like, yo. But what I'm doing, I wouldn't recommend everyone to do. So I would say it depends on your risk. This is the intelligent answer, right? It depends on your risk profile, how much risk you could tolerate. It depends on your monthly expenses and what you could afford to lose. So that's the intelligent answer. But I'm also going to add some of what my perspective, from a personal perspective, the way I see it for an average individual is what you can afford to invest, right? So if someone could only afford to put in $2,000, and they might feel like, oh, $2,000 is not that much money, I can't become rich from $2,000. No, you probably won't become rich from $2,000, but if the lower amount of money that I had to put in, the higher risk I would go, right? So if it's only $2,000, then I would be looking at my particular picks, right? Because I have some ridiculous, like, these things just came out. These things have the potential of going 50x, right? So if I put in $2,000 and I get a 50x, it's 100K, right? But some of these could also go to zero, right? So if I put into $2,000 and some of my picks go to zero, instead of getting a 50x, maybe I do an average 20x. That's still 40,000, right? Right. So the question is, how much should I put in? Now, if I only had that low amount, that's what I would do. Now, let's say I had more. Like, let's say I had 10K to put in, right? If I had 10K to put in and I get an average return of a 50x, 10K is that right? Wow. Nah, I think I just, nah, 10K, is that 500K? Yeah, I think that's 500K. This is 500. The 50x is what I'm projected average return is a 50x on my crypto, the cryptos I'm mentioning. So 10K could turn into 500K, right? That's projected average. But you have to realize, look, what I'm going off of, all of these variables. If this, if that, if the ETF, if we go parabolic, if we have the 4-year cycle, if I take it out at the top, if most of these projects don't rug pull, if the federal government doesn't do regulation. So this is why I'm saying that what I'm saying is not financial advice, because there are too many variables in the future to calculate. I could only mention what I expect to happen. And that's the reason why I'm not a financial advisor, right? Because a financial advisor is going to tell you that depending on your age, have 30% in bonds, 70% in stocks, continue to DCA throughout the next 30 to 40 years if you're working. And by the time you're 60, we wanted to retire you at 62, but you're going to have to be working until you're 75. And by the time you reach 75 years old, if you cut back on your daily living routine and you don't go out shopping, you don't go on vacation, you just stay home, then you'll be able to live on 60% of your current salary. So that would be something roughly, I think, what a financial advisor would say. Work until you drop, pretty much, right? So because I understand that, that's why I'm not a financial advisor, by the way, because they're trained to think a certain way, and they're trained, more importantly, to deliver a certain product to the consumer and present it in a certain way that they won't be sued to oblivion, right? Um, so that's the reason why what I'm saying is just my opinion, and what I'm saying is just what I am willing to do. It's not what I'm telling somebody else to do. An individual has to make their own decision on what to do. So, in my opinion, I don't have a choice but to go risky. I have to go risky. When they printed up twice the money supply, they made it so I had to go risky. I don't have a choice. You made college tuition $100K. Um, excuse me for just 1 second. Just one. Yeah, that was the financial advising people telling me not to talk about them. All right, so let me go to the next question. Did you say my tax refund? Did I miss that? Would you recommend? Samuel writes, would you recommend for someone to have their crypto bags ready to go before the April BTC halving? I'm waiting to receive my tax refund. Absolutely, man. I'd have my bags right now. I'm not waiting. I would have my money in cash. Any pullback I get, any pullback I get, I'm invested in crypto. Anything, all in crypto, and I want my tax refund before, because I mean, if I'm looking at a minimum 10x, let's say I get 2,000 back times 10, that's 20K, right? So I'm trying to put, let's say I get 5 grand back times 10, that's 50K, right? How long will it take me to earn 50K working a salary job, right? I mean, 50K cash, not 50K gross. Yeah, so um, and again, yeah, I'm not a tax accountant either. So I would definitely consult a tax accountant if I need a tax advice. This is just my opinion. Um, Samuel, next question says, what lessons did you learn during the last bull run that is better preparing you for the upcoming one? Another good question. From the last bull run, I learned that I'm not a trader, right? Because what's going to happen is that this bull run, you're going to have your altcoin. You're going to, let's say you have 10 coins hypothetically, right? And some coins are running, some are not. We're in a bull run. The market's going crazy. You're looking at Solana over here. Solana is doing a 5x within 2 months, and you're holding ADA, and ADA is a dead dog. ADA is going up 20%, coming down 10%. It's not moving. Solana is booming, AVAX is booming, all these other cryptos are booming. So you decide, you know what you're doing, and since you're a trader, you're going to trade out of ADA and then you're going to buy Solana. And you do that, and you buy Solana, and Solana comes down 20%, and then ADA, all of a sudden, it gets its boom, and ADA goes up 8x. So the coin that you sold goes up 8x right after you sold it. 2 months after you sold it, it goes up 8x. And meanwhile, the one you bought is now, that's when it's doing 20%, 40% back and forth. So what I learned from last bull run is to buy early. First, spot coins that you have conviction in, like cryptos that you know are going to kill it, like GTAI. We know that it's going to kill it, this market, because it's an AI coin that has the one of the best teams behind it, has a lot of backing. The influencers are pumping the coin and mentioning the project. You've used the website and used the product, the project and the product, and you see that it's talking to you on your phone, that the website's well designed, that the technology is better. It's kind of like a chat GPT. You know all of these things, so you know it has pumponomics behind it. So if you can buy it before it's released to the market or before the market knows it, you just buy it early, you hold it, you sit there and you wait. You also know it's a 4-year cycle, so you know that the peak of the bull run should be in 2025. So that means that the majority of your bags you don't need to sell until you're in 2025. There's no need to, right? So instead of acting like a fish out of water, this bull run, maybe I'll get out of this one and get into that one. I watch a video. There's an influencer talking about a coin, so I sell my coin to go and buy his coin, and his coin already pumped 4x, right? So I'm buying his coin at the top. Instead of doing that, maybe I just buy my coins before everybody else. Maybe I also buy my coins before the bull market, right? So what the most important thing is your timing, right? So you have to get in before the bull market. I know we're in a bull market, but the altcoins that haven't done their 40x yet, they're 50, they're ridiculous numbers. They haven't done those kind of numbers yet, right? Most of them haven't. Since they haven't, you get them before they're even released on the market or before people know about them. You hold them, you just keep them, and you relax. You could go on vacation or mental vacation or whatever it is, or you could de-stress. I don't want you fully on vacation. You got to pay attention, right? But you de-stress. You take it easy. You don't have to do anything. Once you're packing your bags and you slowly, and I'm continuing to make videos, right? So this gem is about to come out. This is a new gem that no one knows about. This is the next thing that this is going to be the next big thing. You get in early, you hold. You don't have to do anything. You just hold it. All of that running around like a chicken with the head cut off, that kind of stuff, that's for people who come in late and they're looking at this stuff and like, oh my God, this thing went up 200% in one day. Oh man, and now it's down 20%. Now I could get in. That's for everyone who comes later. They're going to come later to the party. When Bitcoin's $120,000, they're going to be like, oh man, this crypto went, what? It went 50 times your money? No way. How do I want some of that? My job isn't giving me 50 times my money. My Apple stock is not giving me. I want some. How do I get in? Right? It went up 70 times your money. Oh man, now it pulled back to 60 times your money. I got to get in now. That's what's going to happen. They're going to get in when the thing already did 60 times your money. And that's the reason. So the number one rule, or the most important lessons I've learned is knowing the cycle, getting in early, right? Knowing the timing of the cycle, picking the right products, buying low, buying extremely, extremely low, because that way I don't have to try to trade. I don't have to try to make a 40% profit and a 20% down, 40%. I don't have to do that. It's so stressful, and then it's stressful constantly looking at the chart. Very stressful. So just buying the projects early and staying in there and just relaxing. So that's what I learned. So let me check out some more of the comments here. Yeah, definitely have your bags before the halving. That's the lessons I learned last time. And Samuel also writes, did I believe that VeChain will perform well? Do I believe VeChain will perform well this cycle? VeChain, as well as cryptos from prior cycles, most of them, they're going to allow bag holders or people who bought last cycle to get out. So all of those people are going to be in profit. So you can imagine, like last cycle, there are a lot of people who bought VeChain at the top, who bought ADA at the top, bought Solana at the top, and they watched it drop 80%, 90% during the bear market. And now the bull run happens, and they're going to have an opportunity when it comes back to the height of the peak that it was in 2021. The bag holders are going to have an opportunity to get out of VeChain, right? So there's going to be a lot of sell pressure at that price point. So while I do believe that VeChain is going to perform well because it's VeChain, while it's going to perform well because it's a good crypto, there's a price history on VeChain, right? And because there's a price history, it's going to help to suppress the price. So it's around 25 cents. 25 cents was the peak. Let me see how we doing with market cap. Oh, so that was pretty good actually. It went up to a market cap of over 16 billion. And what's the current market cap? About 2 billion. All right. So not looking at price, looking at market cap, right? So the market cap that it hit last time was 16 billion, roughly 16 billion, right? And the current market cap is around 2 billion, right? So to get back to all-time highs, we're talking about an 8x, right? Looking at market cap, because there's not more that the dilution is done, right? Because most of the coins are out now, most of the circulating supply is out. So from 2 to 16, that's about an 8x, right? So for it to get back to all-time highs, it's an 8x. So you can try VeChain, and it depends on risk reward, right? Because risk reward, VeChain is low risk, relatively speaking, for crypto. I know all crypto is risk. So you're looking anywhere from, like, I would say conservatively, 8 to 12x conservatively. So 12x with VeChain, because it's kind of a large cap. So because you have to remember, people are trying to get out of their bag holders, so they're trying to get out of it. So I would rather put that investment into a new projects that can do what VeChain does, but they're the new shiny object. They just launched, and they have money for advertising, and they don't owe anyone money, and they're not waiting to dump their bags on you, right? Because the coins aren't released yet. They're bag holders now that hold VeChain from the last cycle that they can't wait to dump. They can't wait to dump it, right? So instead, I'd rather get on something that, when it launches, could give me a 10x on launch. Like GTAI, I know they're different projects, but GTAI did an 18x on launch, right? So I would rather get a new project that has more fundamentals. So that's how I see that. But it will do well, though. It will do well. There's just better opportunities. Samuel, next question is, what are your thoughts on the recent regulatory developments surrounding crypto? Do you think it will impact the market? Yeah, in a way. The way I see it is it's almost like a game. Like, they have regulation to fight against the market, but within the 4-year cycle, how Bitcoin is created is that you get a bull run every 4 years, and it coincides with the elections, the United States elections. And it also coincides with them printing money, because every 4 years they seem to be stimulating the economy with money. And if you also look at Google, right, Google is now allowing crypto advertising, whereas during the bear market, crypto was not being allowed to be advertised. So my understanding of it is almost like it's planned. So I'm not worried about regulation, because if you look at the regulations brought before Congress, Pelosi had hundreds of bills, over 150 bills that she brought against Congress, but every one of them was rejected and failed, right? So it's kind of like they're playing good cop, bad cop. And it's like, we're going to ban crypto everywhere. We're going to ban MetaMask, and we're going to track you, and we're going to da-da-da-da. But it's amazing that when it's time for a bull market, it seems like nothing sticks, and the market still goes up astronomically, right? There are all these, Gary Gensler hated Bitcoin and crypto, and it's scammers and pirates and the T word. I can't say too many things on YouTube because I might get flagged for something, right? But despite all of that, it's amazing that right before the halving, we get all these Bitcoin ETFs, and we get BlackRock, Fidelity, and these big, powerful companies that support it. It's amazing that Coinbase is in the clear now. It's also amazing that Binance doesn't have as much influence or access to the Western investors that it once did. So what I'm trying to say is that all of these things are planned, including the regulations, right? They're going to make it available for you to buy crypto. they're going to make it available for you to put extraordinary amounts of money into crypto. They just want to make sure that when you do this, you you do it through them, right? So they know the amount of money that can be made here. So I'm not worried about regulations. What I will say though is that, hypothetically speaking, let's say you do make $1 million in crypto. Now you're going to have to be concerned with paying taxes and having that monitored. So I would focus on those things. I wouldn't worry too much about making the money. I think there's money here to be made, um, but they're just going to want to make sure they get their cut, right? So if you make sure that they get their cut, and you can prove everything, like if there's ever a question that comes up, like let's say they track your MetaMask wallet, and they have AI software that's able to decipher your P&L and these kind of things. As long as you're able to provide an answer to this, and you can provide an answer that says, hey, see here, I paid my taxes, everything's documented right here. As long as you can do that, you don't have anything to worry about. But you do have to be smart. Make sure that you're in charge of your keys, you're in charge of your access, because anything that involves wealth and involves money, the money seems to just disappear, right? FTX, it does, the money does disappear. They don't know what happened to it. Oh, the exchange got hacked. We don't know how it happened, how the private key got stolen, how they got it. No one knows anything. It's just a big surprise. Oh, we don't know why, why Terra Luna failed, and we didn't expect it to depeg. We didn't expect that to happen. It's such a shame that happened. And oh yeah, we didn't know Celsius and these other big firms were highly leveraged and had all of this money invested in Terra Luna and Sam Bankman-Fried, and we didn't know everyone was, just loaning each other money out of not actually having the funds to back it up. We didn't know anything. No one knows anything, and that's what happens when you're dealing with millions of dollars. So I would say, whether it's $1 million or $10,000 or $2,000, if it's your money, make sure that you have complete control and access to it, and no one else has access to your money. Don't have it on an exchange, because the exchanges are notorious for stealing people's money, not letting you have access to you try to hit send to send it to yourself. You can't hit it. The send button doesn't work, and they give you some stupid message like, oh, because of new laws, and then we're restricted due to an investigation. We're restricted from sending, and it's like, but it's my money. What do you mean you're restricted from sending my money? This me sending myself my money. So to answer your question, I would only be concerned if I don't have possession of my capital. If I have possession of my capital, I'm not concerned about regulation, because they're going to make regulation easy as long as you end up paying them off, right? As long as, like for instance, you could buy Bitcoin now through Fidelity, through ARK Invest, or through these big firms. They don't have a problem with you buying it, as long as they get custody, which is, and I don't like that part, and as long as they get their cut, right? So I wouldn't worry about regulation too much. You just have to be smart about how you do things. Samuel, next question. First one was, what are your thoughts on the recent regulatory developments? Okay, I answered that. Next question is, how do you stay updated in the latest trends and developments within the crypto space? Well, Twitter, Telegram, Discord, YouTube. So a lot of my news sources are actually independent news sources. So I'm not like really, it's not CNN, and it's not they don't really, or any of these shows on the market. I'm not looking at Fox 5 either. I do independent research. I also go into projects websites and see what they have coming up, launch pads and these different kind of places. So most of my source material is directly from the source. I don't source my material from from like the general pool, because I think once you get it from there, it's already tainted information. It's information that's used to manipulate and regulate. It's information that they want to already make. They want to make more X's on the information they put out. Like if you look at the commercials on TV now about Bitcoin, they want you to invest in Bitcoin, and they're making it easier for you to invest in Bitcoin. That's because they already have their Bitcoin. They already have their bag, right? So they bought OTC. They bought it for cheaper, and they're going to make a profit on these trades. So it's just best to get in early before everyone knows about it. So that's why I try to source my information from the projects themselves. So that's where I get most of it. How do you evaluate the potential of a new crypto project? Well, there's a couple things I look for, right? I look for who's backing them. That's very important. So if you get cryptos backed by Animoca Brands or Coinbase or KuCoin, or that's going to be good, because that they have VCs who have a history or track record of success. And then I look at the team. How strong are the teams? Are these teams built up from professionals, people who've worked in the industry for a long time, who have a track record of success, right? And then I also look at how much are they raising. Are they going to raise $50 million in this venture, or are they only going to raise $50,000? Because if they're raising millions of dollars, they're raising $20 million. That means they have $20 million for advertising, so they could afford to get listed on KuCoin or one of these big exchanges. They could afford to have pop-up ads on crypto websites so they stay relevant and people talk about them. They could afford to get influencers, YouTubers, to mention their projects and to continue to get the name out there. So I look at the VCs behind the project. I look at the amount of capital that they're raising. I look at the use case of their project. Is this another DeFi project where that's promising 80%, 120% yields that we don't really need, and it's not sustainable? Or is it a new gaming hub epicenter that's going to be releasing another 50 games to the caliber of Gala Games? I look at initial market cap. When the project first launches, is this project only coming out with a 200K market cap, or is it coming out with a 2 million market cap when it launches? Because if it's only 200K and they have the VCs and all these other things behind them, then I expect it to go 10x when it launches. But if it has a market cap of $2 million, but I don't know who's backing it, and they didn't raise enough for marketing, then it's probably going to drop below IDO price. So all of these things have to go into consideration when picking a project. But you could kind of tell which ones are more likely to do well in the long term. Good projects versus bad projects. And there's going to be outliers, but if you have a good picking system in the beginning, then that filters out the bad ones from the good ones. So, yeah, I think for now, I'm going to start wrapping it up. I do appreciate your support. This was my first live stream. I just decided to get on today, and I will, continue to take some feedback from the community. But I think it went well. Samuel, I am just better. Thank you for your participation, and expect a lot more gems to be dropped in the future. I'm about to run and take care of a few things, but I will definitely stay in touch and expect a lot of big things. There's a lot of big things coming. I mean, you guys already have your bags packed. Most of you already have your bags packed. I think you're going to do well at this point, because the most important thing is getting in. But absolutely, I'm going to continue to drop projects that people don't know about. By the time they find out about it, it's 10x later. And I mean, who wants to get in now? That 10x later, when it does another 10x, That means if they would have gotten in at the right time, that would have been 100x, right? So that's the difference in timing. But I hope you guys have a good day. Take care of yourself and expect a lot more information later. Enjoy. And hold on, let me put out my outro music. Outro. It's about to get epic. It's about to get epic out here, man. It's about to get crazy. It's gonna be so much fun. It's gonna be fun, like not worrying, like, oh, should I sell? Should I buy? Should I this one? So it's gonna be fun, like watching your portfolio just 10x within a couple months. That's what I think. I think for me, it's gonna be surreal. But by all projections, I think that's what's gonna happen. Imagine 2025. Peace out, man.